Miami, the cocaine and porn capital of the U.S. Alright, now I know some of you have probably already heard enough to convince yourself as to why you need to up and move right now, but hold your horses there, bucko, because Miami isn't it, chief. I mean, sure, the weather's great, beaches are amazing, hey, there's some beautiful looking women, and the food is rather good as well. But Miami is kind of like a cubic zirconia ring. Looks great, but it's not what it seems to be when you put it under the microscope. Whether we're talking about the people, the prices, or even the weather, there is a lot of things for you to consider before packing your bags and starting a new life in South Beach. Look, even LeBron only took an extended vacation here before he chose Cleveland over this place. So that'll tell you a whole lot right there. Now, let's take a look at the top 10 reasons not to move to Miami, Florida. Number 10, the people. It's really no coincidence that a population of people with so much plastic in their bodies could be considered fake. Miami attracts a massive amount of self-absorbed, arrogant people that can't be bothered to give you the time of day. Whether it be a perpetual scowl or the inability to look far enough down their noses at you, you should do yourself a favor and skip an extended stay here. On the off chance that you do find someone pretty cool, don't be surprised to find out that they aren't from South Beach or are indeed an alien invader, as finding good people in Miami is like finding a unicorn. Cost of living. This should come as absolutely no surprise. I don't think you even need to act surprised to hear that it costs a small fortune to even live a decent life in Miami, as the average home price is 30% higher than the national average, and the rent is only slightly better at 10% higher. Now, obviously, you are on the coast, and there is plenty of perks that come along with living in the beach lifestyle, but your wallet? Oh boy, it's gonna hate you. The sales tax of 7% isn't horrible, but it's still not the friendliest city for your financial health, that's for sure. Number 8, the driving. Driving in any city is just asking for trouble. Driving in Miami is like attempting to break through a door head first. You're just setting yourself up for failure and a giant headache. Now, you might have heard at some point that blinkers are optional in Florida, but that's not actually true. The drivers may act like their blinker is optional, but they're actually just operating a vehicle. Seriously, next time you have someone cut you off, you have like a 50-50 chance of seeing a Florida plate attached to their vehicle. They are that awful. It's less than 20 miles from North Miami to South Miami, but be prepared to pack snacks if you're planning on making that Hajj, because it's going to take you a couple of hours when you factor in the traffic and all the accidents. Stay far away, or at the very least, don't buy a car and just save yourself some money and the mental fatigue. Number 7, construction. Construction is an ever ongoing thing in cities across the nation, but in the tropical climate of Miami, you're never going to get a break from the construction work that seemingly dominates the city landscape. Part of the reason that the traffic is so horrible is due to the stoppages created by all the construction, which is spread out throughout the city. While it's obviously nothing unique to Miami, it's definitely worth mentioning because it really is a 365-day-a-year inconvenience. Parking. If you're in Miami, you need to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, do I need a parking spot? And 2, do I have any other plans today? If the answer is yes and yes, you've got yourself a problem. The odds of finding a parking spot in Miami are about as high as the odds of the Capitol Police doing their jobs. You do the math. Anyway, if you stumble across the Holy Grail and do find a nice spot to park yourself, be extra careful that there aren't some weird laws or regulations that you're breaking. The last thing that you need to do is pay a hefty fine because you couldn't find anywhere else to park. Number 5, the weather. Now, you would think Miami's a tropical paradise, right? Well, unless you're a big fan of the heat, you're going to not love it. But the air quality is even worse. Actually, it's worse than worse. It's abysmal. And the heat simply doesn't go anywhere at all. Look, I can fully appreciate people who love year-round warm weather. That's understandable. But you cannot convince me that the regular triple-digit temperatures are anything other than oppressive. If you're not gifted with skin that tans easily and instead burn to death and look like a lobster afterwards, then you might want to stay out of Miami. You're going to end up hurting yourself. Number 4, nobody's ever on time. I do not understand how 30 minutes late can be considered early to someone. But what makes less sense is that all those people decided that they like to team up and move to Miami. For real, I wish I was kidding, but this is the sad reality here. Everybody and everything is late, and people are cool with it. Now, I can make an exception, for example, with a whole traffic situation where no one can get anywhere on time, but it's almost like it's a chronic lateness disease which has been building up into the overall expectations of people who live there. Whether it be the trains, buses, concerts, or movie times, lateness is just a way of life. Number 3, housing. Miami always looks nice and does have a good location, but it's also no secret to anyone that the laws of supply and demand are out to get you. Since housing is in such high demand and supply is very low, be prepared to pay a pretty penny. If you're maybe interested in a studio apartment, get ready to part with nearly $15,000 a month. A standard home will even cost you anywhere between $2,500 to $3,000 a month to rent. Rent! The price of living may have you sticking to the 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo you live in now. Number 2, the tourism. If you're considering a move to Miami, you'll be able to exclude yourself from this horrible group of visitors that pack the beaches and leave behind their garbage year-round. Let's focus on spring break for a minute. Many of the 15+ million visitors per year are college-age kids looking to enjoy their spring break in the notorious Miami area. While these kids will inject a nice amount of money into the economy and even provide a nice laugh as you watch them stumble around drunk at every hour of the day, it eventually gets a little old. The beaches get so overcrowded and rowdy that if you have kids or are otherwise unamused by such behavior consistently on display, you're not really going to enjoy what will feel like a lifetime sentence in Miami. Lastly, number 1, the crime. Crime is a problem in most cities. That's just a fact. Miami is no different and even worse than most other cities in the nation. The crime rate is almost 75% higher than the national average, and the city's murder rate prior to 2014 was staggering. The city is no stranger to high-profile criminals or the consistent microscoping placed over it due to its notoriety as one of the drug capitals of the U.S. While having been gradually improving in the last couple of years, Miami still has a long way to go in efforts of fixing its crime problems. And that's going to do it for us. There's your top 10 reasons not to move to Miami, Florida.